Alright, so we have an interesting video in store for you today. This is just for fun, and it's kind of a product evaluation at the same time. You can probably guess what's about to happen here. In front of me, I have an Andersen jack block. This is designed to put underneath the landing gear or the front tongue jack of a trailer or the auto leveling system of an RV, and essentially help stabilize your RV, especially if you have to extend your jacks out kind of far. Basically, you put this underneath your landing gear or your leveling system, and it limits how far out you actually have to extend those leveling jacks. For your conventional tongue jack, you just put this underneath your front tongue jack and lower it down, and it keeps you from having to extend it too far either. But for today's test, we want to test to see what the brute strength of this thing is. Now, in front of me is my John Deere 50G mini excavator. It's kind of a mid-size mini, or almost a large-size mini excavator. This thing weighs about almost 12,000 pounds. It has a breakout force, or essentially the amount of force this can apply to the ground, of about 9,000 pounds. And it's a lot beefier than you might think. I mean, walking up to it, you can probably tell everything about this is kind of massive for its size. Right now I'm just running a 12-inch bucket on here. This is essentially my trenching bucket, but I'll be adding a 36-inch bucket and then a grading bucket to my fleet of buckets pretty soon. But what we're going to do is test this Andersen jack block to see if it can withstand some torture that we're about to inflict on it from my new mini excavator. The first one is going to be to press down on it with the bucket in kind of a flat position like you see right there on the top of it. Don't know exactly how much force it's going to be putting on it, but I imagine it's going to be quite a bit. And we're going to see if it can handle the weight of the excavator resting the bucket and then lifting the front of the excavator up on this really cool Andersen jack block. So this is going to be an interesting video. So I'm going to do all the tests from the cab. I'm just going to go ahead and mount the camera here next to the jack block so you can see what's going on as I do it. And we'll go through all the different tests and kind of see what happens. This should be fun. Okay, so I didn't want to pause this. I didn't want to cut it. I just wanted you to see exactly what I did to this thing. Now, again, let me zoom out. This is the bucket that I was slamming down on it. That's an inch thick, by the way. This bucket is very heavy on its own, but when paired to this mini excavator, it's a lot of weight. All right, let's see what we got left. First of all, it pretty much drove it into the ground. I have to fix that here in a little bit. Honestly, you know what? I kind of questioned how strong these things were. I really didn't know, to be honest with you. I mean, they have their rating, but then you've heard of some people who have cracked these and damaged them. And I know we are on a sandy loam style soil, so, you know, it's not necessarily going to be the equivalent of being on concrete. But this did support the weight of the tractor. Now, what is interesting is I lowered the bucket flat on here, but then as you guys saw, I also lifted the front up by the blades alone, the teeth actually on the bucket. Look at that. That's where the teeth went into it right here. That's where teeth, I actually specifically lowered it on the center here just to see if it would kind of punch through. I anticipated that it would punch through. Gouged into it, but it absolutely did not break this jack block. You can see where it started to buckle a little bit right there. That is absolutely insane. This kind of blew away my expectations of this thing. I thought that I'd instantly be able to destroy it. So now I'm going to set the camera back out. I'm going to see what it takes to destroy this thing. So this ought to be interesting. Okay, so I did not expect these results. I would venture to say, based on what I just put this thing through and the fact that when I was done, I was able to lift the tractor up on here with no problem at all, that this could probably still hold the RV even in the condition it's in. Now, no one actually paid me to do this. Andersen didn't call me up and said, hey, can you torture test one of our blocks? I just happened to have a spare one sitting in the garage and I was bored, so I decided to come out here and just see what I could do with it in the excavator. But check this out. That is insane. And I'm going to say honestly, the structural integrity of it is still not bad. I mean, like I said, you could probably still lift up an RV with this thing. It doesn't feel compromised, even though, you know, it's dented up pretty bad. You can sure see that it's seen better days. That is absolutely insane. Craziness. Yeah, that kind of surpassed my wildest expectations in terms of what a Andersen trailer jack block was capable of doing. You know what? This is something I got to give a crazy thumbs up to, because who would have thought that it could have handled the abuse of a not-so-mini excavator, just pounding on it, just banging on it, putting the teeth into it, rolling it over, backing the bucket off over it. I mean, this is insane. It's just really crazy what this thing just went through and how it survived it. And I'm actually kind of afraid to try to drive over it, because this seems so strong that if a shard of it breaks off, it might actually puncture one of my rubber tracks, and don't want to deal with that. But yeah, that's crazy. What do you guys think? Leave a comment below. Andersen, if you're watching this, you guys did a pretty good job building this thing. It is mini excavator proof. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this very awkward video, kind of RV related, but I was able to mix the two. You see what I did there? If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and I'm gonna go fix my hole.